So thank you for your patience and waiting. I'm Joe Palumbo. I'm Michael Williams' friend and campaign manager. And this is my friend and colleague, Sven Weber, who's Mary Hartman's friend and campaign manager. And we thought we'd start with reading you some numbers because that's what we've been waiting for.
All right, and as you know, Germans are always good with numbers. So I read them in backwards order. Okay, so I'm reading the numbers in backwards order. On the select board election, the results are Joe Lauren, 1,564 votes. Elizabeth Eckhurst Moore, 2,187 votes. Paul Böhm, 2,364 votes. And Mary Hartman, 2,579 votes. With that, we have Paul and Mary elected to the select board. Now, the other race. Again, in backwards order, 2,448 votes for Alexa. 2,702 votes for Sandeep. And 2,762 votes for Michael. So Michael and Sandeep are elected to the school committee. Congratulations. So we will have the three elected candidates that are present here, just talking a little bit to you, just a few words. We are starting with Paul, who will give the mic over then to Mary, and then we will have Michael. So Paul, congratulations, job well done.
I'm waiting for the hugs to subside here. I think since Mary and I have been to so many forums, I'm expecting a 2-minute warning, a 30-second warning here. I've never run for anything before. This is very satisfying. Yeah. So, first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank Adrian Boardman, my campaign manager, who's frozen to death right now, so she couldn't be here. She's been out all day, and the hardest working, most creative daughter amongst all my daughters. They're all great. So I want to thank her. I'm following in the footsteps of Terry Ackerman, the retiring select board member. I'm very proud to be filling her shoes. I'm very proud to be serving with Mary Hartman. There were formal alliances out there, and then there were silent alliances out there. Mary and I had a silent alliance in terms of how we approach things and how we think about the town. I want to congratulate the town. I think the town made the people made a wise choice. There were many choices. There were 4 good candidates. I think the town voted for continuity, for stability, for incremental change, for creative thinking, and for experience. Experience matters, and I think it shows in how folks voted. So I just want to thank you all, and a lot of my supporters are not here, and I will find time to thank them. But thank you all for coming here. I'm very pleased and proud to be serving. I'm glad we have time off. Thank goodness for the delayed town meeting, so we have a little bit more time before I take my seat. But it's just a great experience. Thank you all very much, and I'll introduce Mary Hartman. Who actually recruited me for this.
I recruited this man. I want to begin by thanking you all from the bottom of my heart. I couldn't have done this without you. This has been a demanding campaign, and it was your strength and your confidence that kept me going. I want to just take a minute and let this sink in for a minute. We won. And I also want to thank the other candidates because they brought voices into the discussion that I think we need to listen to, that brought some different perspectives, and I heard those voices. So I want to thank them as well. Sometimes this feels somewhat like an ending to something, but it really is a beginning. It's a beginning for us to recommit to what we believe in for the common goals for Concord. We need to sharpen our message. We need to correct some misinformation out there. And we need to broaden our communication strategy. So let's take this opportunity to recommit to this town that we are so fortunate to live in. With gratitude, thank you.
There's one person before we hear from the doctor that we really should hear from, because without her help and support, some of this wouldn't happen. Mara, would you just say a few words for us?
Hi, folks. I'm Maura Dolan. I'm your governor's counselor. I was very proud to endorse Mary Hartman, capable, strong, informed woman leader in Concord. Thank you very much. And I want you to know, I get no credit for endorsing Michael Williams, because from the moment I met him, I knew he was what this town needed before I even knew that he was going to run. Michael, you showed us who we are. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am so proud to have supported you. Thank you.
I just have to say one thing before I introduce my friend. You know me, I love history. And right now, at this night, in this moment, you just made history, Dr. Williams.
So actually, I don't think I really heard all the numbers before, but it does sort of sound like an incumbent got unseated. And the two new guys on the block got a gig. So first and foremost, I have to say thank you to everybody in this room, because I was old and retired and loved happily taking pictures of bugs and birds until I met history. And the history was Juneteenth, 2023. And I was at the Robbins house. Now, I lived here for 33 years with my wife and kids, but I was at the Robbins house, and I found about this woman, Ellen Garrison. And she was born free of either self-manumitted or escaped slaves, and there was a family, there was a community of a variety of different peoples here. And we didn't really hear about them though. I found out about her, and at the time we were building this middle school, you know, and I felt, I'll get there. Give me a minute. Man's in a rush. I gotta savor this just a little bit, okay? So we were building this middle school, and the ethos of this community that I know, of course, we were going to name that middle school for this homegrown, home-taught, Concord Public School educated woman who joined the Concord Anti-Slavery Society with her mom, and then the Boston Anti-Slavery Society, and then the American Missionary Association, with the express purpose of traveling the nation at a time that it was particularly unsafe for a black woman, tiny black woman, about as tall as my mom, about 5-something, and she wanted to educate. She wanted to educate the newly freed slaves, and that took her from here south to Baltimore, where, you know, just for kicks, she wanted to test the 1866 Civil Rights Law, and got thrown out of a Baltimore train station twice. First time just to see if it would hurt, the second time to see if it would stick. And they went ahead, and when Rosa Parks did the same thing on a bus 100 years later, Thurgood Marshall and his team went back to her historical story to say, this is the legal grounding for why you need to get it right this time, Earl Warren Court. So I learned about her, and I thought again, of course our school's going to do that. Of course and you know, we got the courageous Concord Middle School. And they didn't know that then. Then I sort of got inspired, and that brought me to pay attention to our select board, where I got to see the heart of Mary Hartman, and the belief that there is a wide aperture to this community, and I got to really up close and personal with our school committee, our superintendent, our administration, and it made it clear to me that there are wonderful things that take place in Concord. I mean, we wouldn't have stayed here 33 years if there weren't. Okay? There are wonderful things that took place here in Concord. And if you looked at them with just a slightly different perspective, if you looked at them with just a slightly different view and a different concept, which it sort of seems you're not allowed to use at the school committee lately, but if you looked at that, if you looked at things that way, you might, through the roil of ideas, the dynamic tension of ideas, you might come up with a better decision for our community. So each of you is the gift. Each of the voters that, I was going to say pull the lever, made that little black oval for me. Each of them, each of you is a gift to me, is the gift to our community from Ellen Garrison. 200 years on, she's still giving, and we are going to benefit from them. Now, what do we do from this? We're going to make certain that we give our educators the tools to make certain that we meet our students, whether they're students with disabilities or not, whether they're high achievement learners or learners that just need a little extra hand. We're going to make certain that whether they're English speakers or not, whether they're straight, gay, transgender, we're going to make certain that they get the tools that they need to be supported. We're going to make sure the challenge that they need to excel. We're going to make certain that we look at our gaps in education. Yeah, I got started. Gaps in education. Yeah, I'm not campaigning anymore. I won. Okay. I'm forgetting. There are things we're going to do. Most of all, we're going to make certain that people communicate and that the people in our administration hear from you and help to make better ideas. All of you helped to make this happen. All of you, from my ancestors down, all of you helped us. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Just because we're talking history, in case you don't have any Michael Williams swag that you want to put it in your history box, because 150 years from now, people want this stuff. I'm going to put it on the table over there. Take it, because it's history, man. It's history.